What up, Hyperchange? Welcome to another episode. Today we have some awesome news to cover. InsideEVs has come out with their plug-in hybrid electric car sales for the US for the month of January. The Tesla Model 3 was the best-selling plug-in in the entire country, selling 1,900 units. They crushed the #2 Toyota Prius Prime, which isn't even really a pure electric car, only has a 25-mile electric range, still has an internal combustion engine. They crushed #3, which was the Chevy Bolt, which only sold 1,200 units, outsold them by about 50%, and all of this has happened while the Tesla is still struggling to ramp Model 3 production. This is nowhere near where it's going to end up. I still think Model 3 sales in the US per month could double or triple from here, but they are already #1 in market share. Phenomenal data. I am just so excited about this. So let's dive into the numbers. Sorry, I'm a little bit sick today, but we're getting through it. So out of the 12,000 electric cars that sold in the month of January in the US, the Model 3 took about 15.5% of that entire market share. If you combine in the other 1,500 Model S and X that sold, Tesla had about sales of 3,300 cars in the US in January, representing about 28% of the plug-in hybrid market. This is huge news because it's the exact thesis that all of us Tesla-longs have been waiting to play out. Tesla's the Apple of the automotive world. They're not going to get the entire market. They're going to capture the high-end premium niche where all the margins and profit are, just like Apple does. To put things in perspective, sales of 1,900 cars is already representing about 90 or 100 million in revenue, assuming about 50,000 per car. So, the Model 3 in Q1 2018 is already going to be a needle mover for Tesla's revenue and start to drive the growth of the company from here on out. You're hearing all this news in the media about the Model 3 not being able to ramp, production having all these issues, Tesla not meeting their promises. Well, it looks like Tesla is fulfilling the vision to me. The #1 selling plug-in car in the entire country by a huge margin before they can even ramp production. I mean, if you guys take a look at this historical Model 3 ramp, these are the InsideEV numbers. Also, I'm going to put a link to InsideEVs. It's an unbelievable resource. They have the monthly sales data ramping, really slowly in mid-2017, but then picking up huge in December and especially January. This is only going to continue. This is the exact exponential curve of production ramp that Elon Musk and Tesla have been guiding since day one. All of the haters are just, I don't know why nobody's looking at these numbers. Like, this looks like an incredible chart to me. It's scaling. It's the #1 car in the country. The US plug-in market has been on a tear. A big part of this growth has been due to Tesla, but as you can see, since starting at 17,000 plug-in sales, we are now at about 200,000 in 2017. That's about a 10x increase in just 6 years. 2018 is going to be another record year thanks to the Model 3. So, this market is really important for me to track because these are the cars that require you to be able to charge and plug in. Therefore, the demand of the country of people wanting chargers is going to increase correlated to this chart. They can't build superchargers everywhere. There's going to need to be augmentation with charging. Probably the biggest pain point of EVs is figuring out where and when to charge. So I think having a much bigger EV market is a great sign. The entire thesis of not only Tesla dominating the electric vehicle market with the high-end sales and dominant market share are we seeing that play out, but we're also seeing the entire US switch over to EVs. My guess is the sales of these plug-in hybrids only accelerate as the Model 3 comes out and as more and more automakers release cheaper, more affordable, more efficient versions of electric cars. Just awesome news for Tesla and the planet here. And you guys know I've been having a little bit of beef with Seeking Alpha recently, and it's because their coverage of Tesla is just absurd. Anton Wallman just came out with this article analyzing the same numbers that we are looking at right now, record Model 3 sales, #1 car in the US, but the title of his article is Tesla implied 1,000 Model 3 units per week on January 3rd, but January fell short over 50%. He's basically saying that Tesla at the end of December was implying that they were producing Model 3s at a run rate at about 1,000 a week. That should have meant they were going to produce 4,000 cars in January, but now they've only delivered about 2,000. They fell about 50%. What's happening? Massive debacle. But it's like, dude, they only said part of the production chain was at 1,000 per week by the end of December. They told bankers in mid-January at the Detroit Auto Show they'd be at overall 1,000 per week by the end of January. So clearly he missed that boat. But what's so funny about this is the exact month before his article was December sales are in. He's looking at the same InsideEVs data that we are. General Motors Chevy Bolt EV outsold Tesla Model 3 by 3-1. He's like nailing this down. Like, Tesla Model 3 is supposed to be the best selling car, but the Chevy Bolt outsold it 3-1. Well, that's because production wasn't ramped. They still had an absurd backlog. And now this month is, as I mentioned, the Model 3 outsold the Chevy Bolt by more than 50%, but he doesn't mention that anywhere in his article. Like, like the entire narrative is switched. He went from tracking EV Bolt sales, beating Model 3 sales as the most important thing until the Model 3 surpassed it because production ramped, which we all knew was gonna happen, and then he just stops talking about it. Awful coverage, awful analysis. This is why Seeking Alpha has gone kind of down the tubes, sort of pathetic that this is the top tier hitting Tesla analysis they put out. This is why I don't write for the platform, because it's a joke. They have an incredibly strong negative Tesla bias. Anyway, I don't want to get too into it, but I just thought that was a hilarious example of how the mainstream media continues to spin every piece of Tesla news with an absurd negative slant, when in fact, the company is crushing it. Look at these sales numbers from the Model 3, ramping like crazy. It's the #1 selling plug-in car in all of the US. Amazing news. Congrats to all you Tesla longs. I cannot wait for the earnings report coming out this week. Gonna have a ton more coverage on that, so stay tuned. This is Hyperchange, Model 3, best-selling plug-in hybrid in the entire country, and only gonna widen the gap and widen its lead in the coming months. Epic time to be alive. I'll see you guys next time. Peace.